The old story said they came from the stars on wings of silver light. 300 years ago, humanity had no ships that could travel between stars. They had no weapons that could fight against the horrors of deep space. They were alone on their small blue world, looking up at the night sky with wonder and fear. They did not know that something terrible was coming for them. The scourge arrived first. They were not like anything humans had ever imagined. They were machines made of flesh, or perhaps flesh made of machines. Nobody knew for certain. They did not talk. They did not make deals. They simply consumed. They ate entire planets. They harvested the people, the animals, the plants, and even the rocks. They turned everything into fuel for their endless hunger. They had destroyed 147 civilizations before they found Earth. The human military tried to fight. Their missiles and bombs did nothing. Their fighter jets fell from the sky like burning leaves. In the first 3 hours, 12 major cities were gone. The world leaders sent desperate messages into space, begging anyone who might hear them for help. They did not expect an answer. But an answer came. They appeared without warning. Their ships were beautiful, made of something that looked like living silver. They were tall beings with skin that shone like metal and eyes that held the light of distant stars. They did not ask for permission. They did not wait for thanks. They simply placed themselves between Earth and the scourge, and they began to fight. The battle lasted for 7 days. Park had heard the stories 1,000 times. His grandmother had told them to him when he was a child. She had been only 4 years old when the sky turned to fire, but she remembered. Everyone from that generation remembered. She told him about the pilot who crashed their ship into a scourge harvester that was heading toward. The pilot died, but 400,000 people lived. She told him about the healers who came down to the surface and worked without rest, saving humans they had never met. She told him about the queen who commanded the defense from her flagship, refusing to retreat even as her fleet was torn apart around her. The queen died on the 6th day. Her ship was destroyed protecting a human evacuation convoy. She was the last of her royal bloodline. When the battle ended, they had lost 60% of their fleet. They had lost their queen. They had lost the secret coordinates to their, stolen by the scourge before the enemy retreated into the darkness of space. They had lost almost everything. And they asked for nothing in return. The human leaders offered them land. They offered them resources. They offered them alliance, partnership, anything they wanted. They refused it all. Their commander, a tall figure with sad silver eyes, spoke only one request before they left. "Remember us kindly." Then they were gone, vanishing into the stars, and humanity never saw them again. Until now. Stood on the bridge of his ship, the UEC Remembrance. He was 42 years old, with gray starting to show in his black hair. He had served in the United Earth Coalition fleet for 20 years. He had seen combat. He had given orders that sent people to their deaths, but nothing had prepared him for the message now displayed on his screen. It was a distress call. The language was old, using codes that had not been active for 3 centuries, but the translation was clear. They had been found, the scourge had returned, and they were dying. His first officer commander stood beside him. She was a serious woman with sharp eyes and steady hands. She had read the message 3 times, as if hoping the words might change. "They are not asking for warships," she said quietly. "They are asking for evacuation transports. They want to save their children before the end comes." Felt something cold settle in his chest. They have already given up. "Can you blame them? Look at these numbers," pointed to the tactical data embedded in the message. "The Scourge fleet has over 4,000 vessels. They have maybe 200. They have been fighting for 9 days already. They are exhausted. They are out of ammunition. They are dying. How long until the Scourge breaks through?" 5 days, maybe less. Was silent for a long moment. Around him, the bridge crew worked at their stations, but he could feel their eyes on him. They had all heard the stories. They all knew what they had done for Earth. His communications officer, a young man named Minu, spoke up hesitantly. "Sir, the message was sent to all frequencies. The whole coalition will have received it by now. Command will make a decision." "Command will hold meetings," replied. "They will debate. They will discuss risks and resources and political implications. They will do what governments always do." "And what should we do?" Turned to look at his crew. There were 47 people on the bridge, 47 lives that he was responsible for. If he did what he was thinking, he might be throwing those lives away. But then he thought about his grandmother. He thought about the 400,000 people in who had lived because a pilot had died for them. He thought about his own children, safe and happy on Earth, never knowing the fear of the scourge because aliens from another world had decided that human lives were worth saving. "Open a channel to Fleet Command," he said. "All frequencies, all priorities. I want every admiral, every captain, every officer in the Sol system to hear this." "Sir, that is against protocol. You could face charges for." "Do it." Minu hesitated only a moment, then turned to his console. A few seconds later, he nodded. "Channel open, Captain. You are broadcasting live to the entire fleet." Straightened his uniform and faced the camera. "This is Captain Park of the UEC Remembrance. By now, you have all received the distress call from space. You know what is happening. You know what they face. And you know what they did for us 300 years ago." He paused, letting the silence stretch. "They saved 8 billion lives. They lost their queen, their fleet, and their way home. And when we offered to repay them, they asked only that we remember them kindly. That was their only request, just to be remembered." His voice grew stronger. "Well, I remember. My grandmother remembered. Every family on Earth has a story about the Silver Guardians who fell from the sky and died so that we could live. We have had 300 years of peace because of their sacrifice. 300 years to grow strong. 300 years to build a fleet that can actually fight." He looked directly into the camera, as if he could see every person watching. "They are dying. They have accepted that. They are not even asking us to fight for them. They just want us to save their children. But I am not going to stand by and watch our oldest friends be destroyed. I am taking the remembrance to space. I am going to fight. And I am asking anyone who remembers, anyone who cares, anyone who believes that humanity should repay its debts to come with me." He took a breath. 300 years ago, they did not ask if we were worth saving. They just saved us. Now it is our turn. Out. He cut the transmission and turned to. She was smiling slightly. "You know, you just ended your career." "Probably. And you might have just started a war." "Possibly. So what now?" Looked out at the stars through the viewport. Somewhere out there, the beings who had saved his world were fighting their last battle. They were dying alone, expecting nothing, hopping only to save a few of their children before the end. "Now," he said quietly, "we see if humanity remembers." Admiral had served in the fleet for 40 years. She had seen many things. She had commanded ships in battle. She had made hard decisions that cost lives. She had buried friends and promoted strangers and watched the galaxy change around her. But she had never seen anything like this. Captain Park's broadcast had gone out 6 hours ago. In that time, the United Earth Coalition had received over 12,000 requests for deployment orders, not from military vessels, from everyone. Cargo ships, passenger liners, mining haulers, private yachts, research vessels, even a luxury cruise ship that had been carrying tourists to the rings of Saturn. They all wanted the same thing. They all wanted to go to space. They all wanted to fight. Stood in the command center of Fleet Station Alpha, watching the tactical display with something close to disbelief. Ships were arriving at the rally point near Jupiter in a constant stream. Military vessels came in formation, their captains requesting battle assignments. Civilian ships came in chaos, their pilots asking where they should go and what they should do. "This is madness," said Vice Admiral. He was a practical man who believed in order and procedure. The current situation was making him very uncomfortable. Half these ships have no weapons. A quarter of them do not even have proper shields. We cannot send civilians into a combat zone. "They know that," replied. "They are coming anyway. We should stop them, order them back to their ports. This is a military matter." Turn to look at him. "And how exactly do you plan to stop them? Arrest 12,000 captains. Fire on civilian vessels. The entire solar system is watching. The entire human race is watching. Do you want to be the man who told humanity they could not repay their oldest debt?" Had no answer to that. The communications console lit up with another incoming message, recognized the sender code and felt her eyebrows rise. Put it through. The screen showed an old woman with white hair and steady eyes. She wore civilian clothes, but her posture was military straight. Behind her, could see the interior of an old cargo ship. "Admiral, I retired from fleet engineering 20 years ago. I am requesting permission to join the expedition." Studied her. "You are 63 years old, Ms., and your ship appears to be a civilian cargo hauler at least 30 years past its prime." 65, actually, and my ship is old, yes, but I have spent the last 20 years maintaining her. She can make the journey, and I can still work a welding torch better than most of your young engineers." "Why do you want to go?" Was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft but certain. "My grandmother was in Seoul when the scourge came. She was in a hospital giving birth to my mother. The scourge started targeting the medical centers first. Easy prey, I suppose. A pilot put their ship between the hospital and the scourge weapons. They held that position for 11 minutes while the evacuation happened. 11 minutes. Then their ship exploded." She met's eyes through the screen. "My grandmother lived. My mother was born safely. I exist because an alien I never met decided that human lives were worth dying for. I have waited my whole life for a chance to say thank you. Please do not take that from me." Was silent. Around her the command center had grown quiet. Everyone was listening. "Your ship will need combat modifications," she said finally. "Report to Dock 7. We will see what we can do." Smiled. It was a beautiful smile, full of gratitude and determination. "Thank you, Admiral. I will not let you down." The screen went dark. Shook his head. "You cannot be serious. One old woman in one old ship. What difference can she make?" "I do not know," admitted. "But multiply her by 12,000 and we might have something." The next several days were chaos. Engineers worked around the clock to retrofit civilian vessels with whatever weapons and armor they could find. Military crews took on civilian volunteers who wanted to help in any way they could. Supply ships loaded with ammunition, medical equipment, and food. Everyone knew the mission was probably suicide. Everyone came anyway. Lieutenant was 24 years old. He had graduated from the academy only 2 years ago, and he had never seen real combat. Now he stood on the observation deck of the destroyer Unyielding, watching the fleet assemble, and he tried not to be afraid. Impressive, is it not? He turned to find an older woman standing beside him. She wore the uniform of a fleet sergeant, and her face carried the calm confidence of someone who had seen many battles. "Sergeant Lee," she said, introducing herself. "You look like you are about to be sick." Tried to smile. "Is it that obvious?" Only to someone who has seen it before. She moved to stand beside him, looking out at the gathering ships. "First time going into real combat." "Yes." "Scared?" He hesitated, then nodded. "Good, fear keeps you alive. It is the ones who are not scared that die first." She pointed to a cluster of civilian ships that were being modified at a nearby dock. "You see those, cargo haulers, passenger transports, not a weapon between them a week ago. Now they are armed and armored and ready to fly into hell. Do you know why?" "Because of the—" Yes, because 300 years ago, aliens we had never met decided to die for us, and now they are going to die. She looked at him with serious eyes. That is what we are fighting for, Lieutenant. Not glory, not victory. We are fighting because it is right, because they fought for us when they did not have to, because humanity does not forget. Felt something shift in his chest. The fear was still there, but now there was something else too, something stronger. What if we lose? Then we lose, but we lose fighting. We lose with our friends beside us. We lose knowing that we did not abandon the beings who saved our world. She smiled slightly. There are worse ways to die. On the fifth day, the fleet was ready. Stood on the bridge of the flagship, the carrier Eternal Dawn, and looked at the tactical display. 1,347 ships. 400 of them were civilian vessels that had never seen combat. Many of them would not survive the journey, let alone the battle. But they had all chosen to come. Captain Park's voice came over the command channel. Admiral, the fleet is assembled. All ships report ready for departure. Took a breath. This was the moment. Once they left, there was no turning back. This is Admiral to all ships. You all know why we are here. You all know what we face. The Scourge is an enemy that has destroyed over 100 civilizations. They are more numerous than us. They are more powerful than us. By every calculation, we should lose. She paused. But calculations do not account for what we carry with us. We carry 300 years of gratitude, 300 years of stories passed from grandparents too, 300 years of a debt that has never been forgotten. They saved us when they did not have to. They asked for nothing in return except to be remembered kindly. Her voice grew stronger. Today, we show them how humanity remembers. Today, we show the galaxy what it means to have humans as your friends. Today, we repay our debt not with words but with action, not with promises but with sacrifice. If we die with honor. If we win together. She straightened her shoulders. All ships engage jump drives. Set course for space. It is time to bring our friends home. The fleet jumped as one, vanishing into the stars. Behind them, on Earth, billions of people watched the sky and prayed. The journey through the darkness between stars took 11 days. 11 days of waiting. 11 days of preparation. 11 days of knowing that death waited at the end of the road. For most of the crew, it was the longest 11 days of their lives. Lieutenant spent his time in the training rooms. The simulators ran combat scenarios over and over, teaching pilots and gunners how to fight an enemy they had never faced. The Scourge did not fight like normal enemies. They did not use tactics or strategy. They simply came in endless waves, overwhelming their targets with numbers. "You are overthinking it," Sergeant Lee told him after watching him fail the same simulation for the 6th time. "The Scourge are not smart. They are hungry. They do not plan. They just attack." "Then how do we beat them?" "We do not beat them. We survive them. We hold the line long enough for others to do what needs to be done. And if we cannot survive, we make sure our death costs them more than our life was worth." Looked at her. "That sounds like you expect to die." "I expect to fight. What happens after that is not my concern." She reset the simulation. "Again, and this time stop trying to be clever, just shoot." On the medical ship Healing Light, Dr. Moon prepared for the casualties she knew were coming. She was 38 years old, with kind eyes and gentle hands. She had joined the fleet as a trauma surgeon 10 years ago. She had seen terrible wounds. She had lost patients, but she had never prepared for anything like this. "We do not have enough supplies," said her assistant, a young nurse named Jin. "If the casualties are as high as the projections say, we will run out of blood within the first hour." "Then we work faster," replied, "and we pray that the projections are wrong." "Are you scared?" Looked at her. Was only 22, fresh from medical school, with the kind of innocent optimism that combat usually destroyed. This would be her first real battle. It would probably destroy her too. Yes, admitted. I am terrified, but I am more scared of not being here, of staying safe while others die, of knowing that I could have helped and choosing not to. Why did you volunteer? Was quiet for a moment. My great-grandfather was a fisherman when the scourge came, he was out on his boat far from shore. He saw the fires in the distance. He saw the ships falling from the sky. He thought he was going to die alone, watching his world burn. She smiled softly. Then a rescue ship found him. They had no reason to look for one small boat in a big ocean. They were already carrying hundreds of survivors, but they looked anyway. They found him. They saved him. And that is why you are here. That is why I exist, because a pilot decided that one old fisherman was worth saving. She returned to her work. Now we return the favor. Captain Park spent most of the journey on the bridge of the Remembrance. He slept in short shifts, never more than a few hours at a time. His first officer, commander, worried about him. You need rest, she told him on the 9th day. You will be no good to anyone if you collapse during the battle. I will rest when this is over. That might be never. He looked at her, had served with him for 8 years. She was more than his first officer. She was his friend. She deserved honesty. I keep thinking about the commander, he said quietly. The one who led the defense of Earth 300 years ago. She watched her fleet being destroyed around her. She watched her queen die. She fought for 7 days knowing that she would probably lose. And when it was over, when she had given everything she had, she refused to take anything in return. What about it? She is probably dead now. They live longer than us, but not 300 years longer. She never saw what her sacrifice meant. She never saw the cities we built, the children who were born, the civilization that grew because of what she did. She just flew away into the darkness, carrying nothing but the hope that we would remember her kindly. He turned to look out the viewport at the stars streaming past. I want to believe that she knew, somehow, that somewhere in the universe her spirit understands that we did not forget, that her sacrifice meant something, that we became worthy of what she gave us. Move to stand beside him. We are about to fly into a battle we will probably not survive. Hundreds of thousands of humans are willing to die for beings they have never met, for a debt they never personally owed. I think that proves we are worthy. The 11th day came. The fleet dropped out of jump space on the edge of the system. For a moment, there was silence as everyone processed what they were seeing. It was called. It was a beautiful planet, covered in forests that shone like silver in the light of its yellow sun. Its oceans reflected the sky like mirrors. Even from space, it looked like something from a dream. But the dream was surrounded by a nightmare. The Scourge fleet hung in space around the planet like a cloud of death. Thousands of ships, each one a twisted combination of metal and flesh. They pulsed with a sickly light, as if they were alive and hungry. Between them and the planet, a thin line of ships fought desperately to hold them back. Count the enemy, ordered. Over 4,000 vessels confirmed, his tactical officer reported. Probably more on the far side of the planet. And approximately 200 ships remaining, most showing significant damage. They have been fighting for 15 days now. 15 days. They had been dying alone for 15 days, expecting no help, hopping only to buy enough time to evacuate their children. Open a channel, said, broadcast to the fleet. Channel open. Vessels, this is Captain Park of the United Earth Coalition ship Remembrance. Humanity has received your distress call. We have come to help. There was silence. Then a voice came through. It was melodic and beautiful, like singing mixed with speech, but it was also exhausted and broken. Earth, you came after so long. You truly came. You saved our world 300 years ago. You saved our people. Did you think we would forget? More silence. When the voice spoke again, it trembled with emotion. We asked only to be remembered kindly. We never expected. We never dreamed. Admiral's voice cut into the channel. "Command, this is Admiral of the United Earth Coalition. We have brought over 1,300 ships. We have weapons, supplies, and medical support. We are here to fight beside you." "You came to fight," the voice sounded confused. "But you do not owe us anything. We gave freely. We asked for no payment." "You asked to be remembered kindly," replied. "But humanity has a different way of showing kindness. We pay our debts." There was silent for a long moment. When they spoke again, their voice was thick with tears. "For 300 years we wondered if we made the right choice. We lost so much saving your world. Some of our people said it was foolish. Some said humans would forget us the moment we left. But we always hoped. We always believed." "Your hope was not wasted," said quietly. "Your belief was not wrong. We remember. And now we are here. Together we fight. Together we live or die." The commander's voice grew stronger. "Then let us fight together, humans of Earth. Let us show the Scourge what happens when two species stand as one. Let us show them that some bonds cannot be broken by time or distance or death itself." Looked at his crew. They were ready, scared but ready. "All ships," he said, "prepare for battle." The Scourge attacked at 3:47 hours, ship time. They came without warning, without mercy, without any sign of intelligence. One moment they were still, a wall of twisted metal and flesh. The next moment they were moving, surging toward the human and fleets like a wave of death. Specialist Nam was 21 years old. He sat in a point defense turret on the destroyer Iron Will, his hands gripping the controls, his heart pounding in his chest. The training simulations had prepared him for this, or so he had thought. Nothing could truly prepare anyone for the Scourge. They were nightmares made real. Each ship was different, built from the harvested remains of countless species. He saw glimpses of bone and metal fused together, of organic tissue wrapped around weapons, of eyes that should not exist staring at him through the void of space. "Fire at will," his commanding officer ordered. "Do not stop until your guns melt or you die." Fired. The first wave of Scourge drones crashed against the human formation. They were small and fast, each one carrying enough explosives to destroy a shuttle. Turret tracked them automatically, spitting streams of superheated energy into the darkness. Drones exploded. More took their place. "There are too many," he breathed. "Then keep shooting," came the reply. "Every drone you kill is one less drone that reaches our hull. Every second you buy is one more second for someone else to live. Do not think, just shoot." He shot. The battle stretched across space like a living thing. Thousands of ships moved and fired and died. The human fleet held formation, their heavy warships creating a wall of fire that the Scourge had to push through. Behind them, the ships regrouped, finally able to rest after 15 days of desperate fighting. On the bridge of the Remembrance, Captain Park watched the tactical display with cold focus. Ships were dying, his ships, but the line was holding. Status report. Commander checked her screens. "We have lost 47 vessels in the first hour, mostly smaller escorts and civilian ships that got caught in the crossfire. The main battle line is holding. They are rotating their damaged ships to the rear. Their commander is asking permission to integrate their remaining forces with ours." "Granted, full integration. Tell them their ships are our ships now. We fight as one fleet." The ships moved into position alongside the human vessels. It was a strange sight, the silver curves of design mixed with the angular efficiency of human construction. But it was also beautiful. Two species, 300 years apart, fighting side by side. The Scourge responded by attacking harder. A Scourge battleship broke through the line, its weapons tearing into a cluster of medical ships that were trying to evacuate the wounded. On the medical ship Healing Light, Dr. Moon felt the deck shake beneath her feet as explosions rocked the hull. "We are being targeted," shouted Nurse Jin. "The outer sections are losing atmosphere." Seal the doors. Evacuate patients to the core sections. Did not stop working on the wounded Marine on her table. His leg was gone below the knee, and he was losing blood fast. Someone get me more plasma. Doctor, we need to evacuate. The ship is dying. Then it dies with me saving lives. She looked up briefly. You can go if you want. I will not blame you. Hesitated for only a moment. Then she grabbed a bag of plasma and moved to side. Tell me what to do. The healing light was saved by a civilian cargo hauler named Silver Memory. The old ship threw itself between the medical vessel and the Scourge battleship, taking the fire meant for others. Its shields failed in seconds. Its hull melted, but it bought enough time for a squadron of human destroyers to arrive and drive the Scourge ship back. Died on the Silver Memory. She was 65 years old, and she had waited her whole life to say thank you to the beings who saved her grandmother. In the end, she said it with her death. The battle continued for 7 hours. Lieutenant fought in a fighter squadron that was assigned to protect the carrier Eternal Dawn. He was not a natural pilot. He made mistakes. He almost died twice. But Sergeant Lee was there each time, her voice calm in his ear, guiding him through the chaos. Break left, hard left. There are 3 drones on your tail. He broke left. Energy beams burned past his cockpit. Now climb, full thrust, get above them. He climbed. His fighter screamed in protest, but it obeyed. Good, now turn and fire. He turned, he fired. 2 of the drones exploded. The third was hit by fire from his fighter. You are still alive, she said. That means you are doing well. I do not feel like I am doing well. Nobody feels like they are doing well in battle. You just keep fighting until the fighting stops. That is all anyone can do. The 4th hour brought the largest Scourge assault yet. A wave of their heavy ships pushed toward the center of the human formation, trying to break through to reach the Admiral ordered a counterattack. All available ships, concentrate fire on the enemy center. We break them here or they break us. The fleet surged forward. The carrier Soul's Pride was one of the first ships to reach the enemy line. She was an old carrier, one of the first built after humanity achieved faster than light travel. Her captain, Commander O, was 60 years old and had been planning to retire next year. He had volunteered for this mission without hesitation. The Scourge flagship is directly ahead, his weapons officer reported. If we can destroy it, their coordination will fail. Then we destroy it. Sir, our weapons are not strong enough. The flagship shields are too powerful. Looked at the tactical display. He looked at the Scourge flagship pulsing with hungry life. He looked at the ships dying around him, human and alike. Then we use a different weapon. His first officer understood immediately. Captain, you cannot. Set collision course. All hands abandon ship. I will handle the rest. The crew evacuated, stayed at the helm, guiding the Soul's Pride toward the Scourge flagship. The enemy tried to stop him, pouring fire into his ship, but it was too late. The carrier slammed into the flagship at full speed, her reactor detonating on impact. The explosion was visible from surface. The Scourge line broke. Without their flagship's coordination, the enemy ships began to attack randomly, getting in each other's way, making themselves easier targets. The human and fleets pushed forward, taking advantage of the chaos. They are retreating, reported disbelief in her voice. The Scourge are actually retreating. Did not celebrate, he could not. Too many ships were burning, too many people were dead. The victory, if it was a victory, had cost more than he wanted to count. But the line had held, and was still there, silver and beautiful, shining beneath its yellow sun. Sergeant Lee died in the 6th hour, leading a boarding action against a Scourge command ship. She had taken a squad of Marines to destroy the ship's core from the inside, knowing it was probably a one-way mission. Her last transmission was simple. Core is destroyed, returning to. The transmission cut off. The ship exploded. Lieutenant heard the silence where her voice should have been. He wanted to scream. He wanted to cry, but there was no time. There were still enemies to fight. "Keep shooting," he whispered to himself. "Just keep shooting." He kept shooting. The seventh hour came, and the last Scourge ship died. The battle was over. The human fleet had started with 1,347 ships. Now there were 467. The had started with 200. Now there were 93. But survived. The hidden for 3 centuries, saved by the same species it had saved 300 years before. Sat on his bridge, surrounded by the wreckage of 2 fleets, and he wept. The silence after battle is unlike any other silence. It is not peaceful. It is not calm. It is the silence of exhaustion, of grief, of survivors trying to understand that they are still alive when so many others are not. It is the silence of counting the dead. Captain Park stood on the bridge of the Remembrance and watched the wreckage drift past his windows. Pieces of ships, human and alike, tumbled slowly through space. Some of them still burned. Some of them carried the bodies of people who had been alive just hours ago. 880 human ships had been destroyed. Over 400,000 people were dead. They had come from Earth with hope and courage, carrying 300 years of gratitude, and now they floated in the darkness, silent forever. But was safe. The turned slowly beneath them, its silver forests and crystal oceans untouched by the horror that had surrounded it. The Scourge was gone, destroyed utterly. Their threat ended for the first time in 10,000 years of galactic history. Commander approached him quietly. "The High Council has requested a meeting. They want to thank us officially." Did not answer immediately. He was thinking about the old engineer who had died saving a medical ship. He was thinking about Commander O, who had driven his carrier into the Scourge flagship. He was thinking about Sergeant Lee, who had given her life to destroy an enemy command ship. They had asked for nothing. They had expected nothing. They had simply done what needed to be done. Just like they had done 300 years ago. "Tell them I will attend," he said finally. The meeting took place in the capital, a city of crystalline spires and living silver that seemed to grow from the ground like trees. The council chamber was beautiful beyond words, filled with light that seemed to sing as it moved through the crystal walls. Attended with Admiral and a small group of surviving senior officers. They were tired, wounded, and grief-stricken, but they stood straight and proud as they entered the chamber. The who greeted them was ancient. Her silver skin had faded to a soft gray, and her star-bright eyes had dimmed with age. But she moved with dignity, and when she spoke, her voice carried the weight of centuries. I am the last survivor of the fleet that defended Earth 300 years ago." Felt his breath catch. 300 years. She had lived for 300 years, carrying the memory of that battle, wondering if the beings she had saved would ever remember her. "We believed we would die," continued. "When the Scourge found us again, we accepted our fate. We sent no warships because we had none left. We asked only for evacuation, for the chance to save some of our children before the end. We never dreamed that Earth would come for us." She looked at with eyes that held 3 centuries of hope and sorrow. "We gave you nothing. We asked for nothing. We fought because it was right, and we left because we did not wish to burden you with debt. We asked only to be remembered kindly." Admiral stepped forward. Her uniform was torn and stained with blood that was not her own. Her face was bruised, and her eyes were red from tears she had not allowed herself to shed. But her voice was steady. "You gave us everything. You gave us 300 years of life, 300 years of peace, 300 years of growing into something greater than we were. Every child born on Earth since that day exists because of you. Every city, every dream, every moment of happiness we have known was your gift." She gestured toward the viewport, where the wreckage of battle still drifted among the stars. This is our gift in return." Was silent for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice trembled with emotion that she could not hide. "You lost so many ships, so many lives for us, for a debt you never owed." Spoke then his voice quiet but clear. "My grandmother used to tell me stories about the Silver Guardians. She told me about a pilot who put their ship between a hospital and the Scourge weapons. That pilot died so that 400,000 people could live. My grandmother was one of them. My mother exists because of that pilot. I exist because of that pilot." He met's ancient eyes. "We did not come here because we owed you. We came because you are family, and family does not keep count of debts. Family simply comes when they are needed." Closed her eyes. For a moment she seemed very old, older than her body, older than her planet, as if she carried the weight of all her lost people on her shoulders. Then she opened her eyes and smiled. "For 300 years I have carried guilt. Guilt for leading so many of my people to their deaths. Guilt for losing our queen, our coordinates, our future. Some nights I wondered if we had made a mistake, if human lives were worth the price we paid." She reached out and took hands in hers. Her skin was cool and smooth, like polished silver. "Today you have shown me that every death was worth it. Every sacrifice mattered. The humans we saved 300 years ago became a species that crossed the stars to save us in return. That is more than we ever dared to hope for." She looked at the gathered humans with something like wonder. "You have repaid a debt that was never owed. You have given us a gift that can never be measured. And now I ask you this, will you stay? Not as saviors and saved, not as creditors and debtors, but as partners, equals, family." Admiral looked at the other officers. No one needed to speak. They all knew the answer. "We will stay," said, "for as long as you will have us." 6 months later, Captain Park stood on a stage on Earth before a crowd of millions. Behind him, the memorial of sacrifice rose into the sky, a tower of crystal and steel inscribed with the names of everyone who had died at. Human names and names together forever. "We are here today to remember," he said. "To remember those who gave their lives so that others could live. To remember the who saved us 300 years ago, and the humans who crossed the stars to save them in return." He paused, looking out at the faces before him. Millions of people, watching, listening, remembering. 3 centuries ago, they asked for only one thing, to be remembered kindly. Today, I can say that we have done more than remember. We have honored. We have sacrificed. We have proven that humanity does not forget those who help us in our darkest hour. His voice grew stronger, carrying across the crowd. "This is who we are. This is who we choose to be. We are not perfect. We make mistakes. We fight among ourselves. But when someone needs us, when someone has given everything for us, we answer. We come. We fight. And if necessary, we die." He looked up at the sky, where ships now flew alongside human vessels, 2 species united in a bond that would last forever. "They saved us once. We saved them once. Now we walk together into whatever future awaits, not as separate species but as family, not as debtor and creditor but as friends. And that, I think, is the greatest repayment of all." The crowd cheered, and the sound rose into the heavens. Above them in the stars, a ship caught the sunlight on its silver hull, shining like hope itself. The debt was repaid. The future had begun. And somewhere, in whatever place the dead went to rest, smiled. Lee smiled. Oh, smiled. 400,000 humans who had given their lives for beings they had never met smiled. They had shown the galaxy what humanity was made of. And the galaxy would never forget.